Now, it has been a hot second since we've been recording like this. There's been a number of issues, off off-screen stuff that maybe we'll talk about at the end here, but right now we're here to talk about Armada's Legacy Wave 1. I like I really like Armada. I've always liked Armada, and I've been disappointed that I can't create as much content for Armada as I'd like. Um, but we officially have our Wave 1 release of Armada Legacy. Now, they did a Wave 0 with a bunch of other stuff, and so we're finally getting the actual Wave 1, a full-on release with a bunch of different cards, new ships. They're definitely carrying on the legacy that FFG and AMG definitely like tossed down and was like, oh yeah, we're done with this. The community is filling in roles that they need to. We're finally getting a chance to talk with it. If you don't know, I'm your host, Isaiah, and this is the Locked Loop podcast. We're getting back into the swing of things after a little bit. You might have noticed there might be some differences on screen. Our logo's changed. Things are shifting over here. Now, should we just get into this? I think we should just get into this. All right. So, what is Legacy? Now, they stopped producing Armada fully. AMG stopped producing Armada. We all know that. We still love the game. Legacy is carrying it on. They're doing full releases, new ships, new fighters. They did new squadrons, which, okay. Now we have a bunch of new ships available to us with this official release. We finally have what we want, which is Architans and a small ship for the Separatists in the Corsairs and Corvettes. I'm trying to think, like, I can just dive into it. We may just have to dive into the cards because there's no other way we do this. There's a bunch of new stuff. I could go through it. I feel like some of these are going to get balance changed, definitely. Point shifts, things like that, because there's some of these where I'm like, that is a really good card for 2-3 points. Maybe that needs to be pumped up just a little bit. But I think they're doing good work over at Armada Legacy. I'm trying to think. We're a little scatterbrained. We do this sort of live where I don't exactly like script it. I do a nice outline and then I run at it and then just let the word vomit flow from my mouth. All right. Let's talk about these things. Before I get into it, let's talk about what exactly... no, do I need to talk about what Armada is? I don't think we need to talk about Armada. If you look in this day and age, if you're playing Armada, you're playing Armada. Now, getting the ships is a little bit harder. You're going to need to find a supplier for that. We don't have anything like that. Yeah, we're too small to do an ad read, so you don't have to worry about anything. I've got some things pulled up. Let's start, of course, with what's come out for the Rebels, because for the Rebels we have a couple of new titles. Now, specifically, titles for ships that didn't have them before. For instance, we finally have the Rebel 1 title for the Providence. Now, is this any good? Yeah. While defending, you may discard one of your officer or offensive support? I'm going offensive support on that. I don't know why. I'm forgetting the names off the top of my head. My gosh, this is going poorly. They are support team? I'm going support team. I'm actually going support team on that one. Wow, we are like scatterbrained all over the place today. You may discard one of those and exhaust this card to spend a defense targeted with a accuracy icon. While attacking, you may discard this card. If you do, you can add one die for each of the discarded symbols. Wow, my brain is so scatterbrained today. Each die must be of a different color. So I have a couple issues with this card. I know. You can discard one of your upgrades and exhaust this card, or to essentially electronic countermeasures. Yeah, it was electronic countermeasures. To do the electronic countermeasures where you still get to activate something. Now, this is decent on the Providence because you can just take a bunch of dirt cheap officers and stuff to just be like, yeah, these are here to discard. You want to have essentially 3 that you're just like, I can get rid of this, I can get rid of this, I can get rid of this, and then go. I think that's how they're intending this to be used. because that second one, while attacking, you can discard this card. If you do, add 1 die for each of your discarded upgrades. Each die must be of different color, which means you're capped at 3 dice: 1 red, 1 blue, 1 black. So this is meant to go like, okay, home 1 or rebel 1, we're gonna charge in, use our defenses to get our defensive tokens, because it has evade. Yeah, to keep using our defenses, our brace, our evade, our redirect, our salvo. I'm getting back into the swing of Armada. It's been a hot second. I wish I could play more. And to get essentially a nice big broadside or forward attack. You're essentially gambling everything on 1 attack. And I don't know how I feel about that. Because this is a ship without turbo lasers or ion cannons, I'm like, it doesn't feel like this is something that the Providence wants to do. And for 6 points, honestly, I want to say it's better. I think if this is a point issue, I do think this is going to be balance changed. Probably 3-4 points for this one. I'm like, it's good. Like, you can get that one-off big attack in there. You're gambling. You're trying to get that Providence in there without too much damage. It doesn't exactly have the best defensive options, so you're kind of running into that. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. I think it's a little costly for 6 points for this upgrade, especially because of the other titles that we've seen released and how good they are for their point costs. I think Rebel 1 is one of those things where, like, it's going to have some niche uses. I wish it had more. You're going to throw it on a Providence with with all of your slots filled. A fully outfitted one, you're going to throw it on there with, fire control team as your intended discard. You're going to throw it on there with a medical team as your intended discard. Like, you're intending to discard these. So that's kind of the plan for that. Now, the other thing that they gave us for the Rebels is, of course, they gave us a new title for Home 1. Not Home 1, but the Command Cruiser, specifically Command Cruiser. And I don't know how I feel about this. The Command Cruiser only, like limiting it to one specific ship, it sounds interesting in theory. Like, it can definitely help to add identity to these ships. Nautilon is what they added. It is a 4-cost title for the MC-80. Gain 1 fleet command icon in your upgrade bar. When a friendly ship is choosing another copy of its non-unique title upgrade to exhaust, it may treat this card as if it was a copy of its upgrade card. Here's my issue. I think this is another card with very niche uses. I'm just checking something to see if the Hammerhead had another Task Force Organa or Task Force Antilles. I think. Honestly, which means this is supposed to be, like, again, niche uses. You're looking at either Mon Cala stuff or you're looking at Task Force Hammerheads. Very niche upgrade here. And all it does is it counts itself with every else, but it does give you a command icon. So I'm like, it's all 4 points. It's not bad. You can give the Command Cruiser something that it really needs, which is a fleet command. At the same time, if you want to run Task Force or Mon Cala Exodus fleets, you can. I honestly don't think it's good for its point cost. 4 points for a title is good. Honestly, the biggest question you have to look at when you're picking this is, can you use it over other titles? Because the Command Cruiser has titles like Home 1, like Defiance, like Mon Cala Exodus Fleet. The question is, can you make use of them in that way? Honestly, what I think is going to wind up happening is, if you're running Sector Fleet, if you're running bigger fleets, you definitely want Nautilon because you can get big Mon Cala Exodus fleets going. But in standard 400-point games, I'd say you're better off going with Defiance or going with Independence for this. The Fleet Command is nice. The Fleet Command is really nice. But you're essentially saying, I need 4 points to spend additional points to get Intensify or Shields to Maximum, or All Fighters Follow Me. Like, And at that point, why are you just not taking the assault cruiser? Because I'm pretty sure the assault cruiser doesn't have it either. Wait, weren't they supposed to have a fleet command? Oh my gosh, they don't. Sorry, I forgot the assault cruiser doesn't have it either, which means this could go on the assault cruiser. The I forgot the assault cruiser. Yeah, you're essentially trying to get that fleet command. Sorry, my brain. Again, I'm scatterbrained today. I'm gonna get some things wrong. So correct me in comments. Comment if you think this is wrong. If I'm getting something wrong, if I'm overlooking something, and we can do corrections. I've got no problem doing corrections. Yeah. So you're trying to get a command on your battle cruiser. And there's other ships that are better in the Rebels that can take the commands. You can just grab a Pelta if you need a fleet command, especially because now like they modified the Peltas. Home One is a costly ship, so grabbing Home One and saying like the Home One cruiser and saying I need this for a fleet command is like, yeah, but we've got other ships that can do fleet commands. We have a Pelta. We can pump the extra 4 and grab us and grab something else. Like fleet commands, while they are rare in the Rebels, they're not that rare, and the Pelta is probably your best bet for them. Like, just have it on your Pelta, honestly, for your fleet command. Although, if you want extra fleet commands, you can double fleet command. That is an option, and I'm going to work through some builds and maybe look at some builds with the new stuff. That'll be interesting to see. Like I said, this is kind of a preliminary. I didn't say it. This is a preliminary look at it. I haven't had time to really just in-depth look at these things. I just wanted to see it and wanted to cover it and kind of look at what we've got coming and trying to be like, yes, Armada, we're still here. We're still playing Armada. We've still got upgrades. The game is still around. Of course, we're going to go over to the Empire now. We covered the Rebels. We got the Empire. Most of this is the new stuff is mainly geared around the Separatists and the Republic. That's where the big things are. But we still have some things for the Empire and for the Rebels. So for the Empire, we have a new title for the Venator. After Intrepid. After you deploy, gain a critical defense token. When a friendly squadron with no defense tokens at distance 1 to 2 suffers damage, you may spend 1 defense token. If you do, now you're just trying to reduce damage for your general squadrons. And I have got a question with this. So you spend a token to take 2 damage, to take 1 damage off of a generic fighter. Why are we not taking, say, what is it? Reserve hangar deck? I don't think that can get on here, but I don't think the Venator needs a fighter thing. I like the idea that it gives a defense token. I don't know if the Empire has stuff that lets you replace it. They might. That lets you replace yeah, you can take local fire control. I think that would be good with something like local fire control if you have no other plans for your team, so that you can get an extra salvo. And you can turn this into essentially a salvo ship with 2 salvos and a bunch of other defense tokens. You can turn this thing into a veritable tank. I don't think the critical thing, the fighter thing with it is meh, because Empire's fighters are cheap, which means you can throw a bunch of them, your generic fighters. Like if you're going to use this on ties, don't even bother using it on ties. This might save you from like losing a defender when you need it, but overall, I think the biggest thing is that added defense tokens. We know how strong added defense tokens are from Krista Agate and from the Starhawk. Additional defense tokens are crazy, and Empire being able to replace some of their defense tokens, and you being able to replace, being like, oh yeah, I want an extra salvo. That's probably the best way to run this. And then of course you run it with like electronic countermeasures or reactive gunnery. Honestly, I always thought the Venator for the Empire was just good as a brawler, because it has that those 2 ordnance pods. And so with the buff to what was it? Not the buff, sorry, the point decrease to it's the front ones. Not rapid reload. Expanded launchers. Yeah. expanded launchers. You can get some devastating stuff. So having an extra defense token is nice, and having an extra salvo for that is just nice as well, because it's got a solid salvo pool if you can use it right. Throw some flat guns on here if you don't want local fire control. I mean, if you don't want local fire control, yeah, or sorry, not local fire control. Where was my brain at? If you don't want to take, of course, the electronic countermeasure. Wait, local fire. Whoa, where am I thinking? Where's my brain going? Flat guns. I was thinking flat guns. Why was I thinking flat guns? Flak? I don't see it. I can't take flak. Sorry. I was thinking flak for some reason. I'm like, it would be really good if it could flak. I don't know why I'm thinking it could flak. My brain is not working today. It is. I just had my coffee, which is weird. I usually wake up. Sorry. Yeah, we are off the rails again. But we're having fun. Welcome to the chaos. Welcome to my little, I'm going to rant into a microphone for a little bit. The other upgrade that we got is, of course, the battle cruiser for the interdictor refit. Now, they did modify the interdictor refit already. I can't remember the exact changes that they made to it, but they did modify it already. And what the battle cruiser does is you get a turbo laser icon in your upgrade bar. And after you deploy, you may replace one of your defense tokens with a salvo defense token. Honestly, for the combat interdictor, I would say that's not the best option. You're not really running the combat interdictor as a combat ship, honestly. I like the idea of giving it a turbo laser. Giving it a turbo laser can be really interesting but you don't see it in a fight too often, so you're kind of limited. Because what they're here for, what most interdictors are here for, are for the interdictor stuff. For the experimental projectors is the primary ones that people like. Honestly, it's not a fighting ship. The interdictor is not a fighting ship. So, well, it can be, but it's not the strongest fighting ship. Especially with the Empire. When you've got the Venator, when you've got the ISD, when you've got all these other ships, this is not the strongest ship in your arsenal. So it's more like a heavy support and good for controlling the battlefield, less for fighting. Honestly, I would say skip this. Like, battlecruiser, I cannot think, like, sure, it's got a decent one. You can get an extra salvo, but if you need a salvo ship, Venator 2 salvo ship. I mean, it's a little more expensive, but Venator 2 salvo ship. And not to mention, you have other options. If you, in that kind of 80, 90 point range, if you're just looking for a brawler, you can take a gladiator. You can take you can take a gladiator. You can take an Architon and support your ship with a Gazanti. The issue is you have so many better options for it that I'm like, okay, interdictor, battlecruiser, not exactly the option I would take. Now, if you're running the combat refit already, and you've got the extra points to spend, and you got like 10 points in your list for some reason, you can take this for that turbo laser. Honestly, I would say this thing could be better. I think 2 points is where it's at. I don't think it's a solid card overall. It's an okay card. It kind of gives you an option to throw it in the mix. Again, this is one of those, like, I'm comparing it to the other stuff, because the other stuff that they've given us that I'm about to show is strong. And I'm like, I don't understand why the Rebels and the Imperial stuff is so much weaker. And I'm like, because they probably have, that's one side. One side is saying, I don't understand why they're weaker. They're weaker. My other side is going, it's because they have a lot of tools at their disposal. Again, there's so many options for these that I'm like, okay, these are the minor things. The big guys coming into this is, of course, what they gave us for this and for the Republic. For the Republic, first of all, they gave us new ships. For the Separatists, we finally have a fast, small ship other than the hard sell, and these are close range guys. We have the Pinnacle class Corsair and the Pinnacle class Corvette. Now, they fill very different roles, and I kind of like how they went with them. So you have the Pinnacle class Corsair, which is going to be your kind of close range flip giving around, doing what damage you can. They did something smart here. They gave it an ordnance. instead of a turbo laser. I can get behind this, and here's why. This is Separatist. If you would have given this thing a turbo laser, you'd be throwing black at long range. We all know that the second you give this a turbo laser, it's getting swivel mount batteries. So you give it this. You give it expanded launchers. Or expanded launchers if you want to go out the front. You give it external racks if you don't care. You give it assault proton torpedoes. It's a close range brawler, but it's not the best close range brawler. It's the best that the Separatist has, and it's cheap. That's the big thing. It is cheap. It's as much as a hard sell, and because of that, it's like great. We have a great option for it. It's as cheap as a hard sell. Of course, they gave us titles as well. First title they gave us was Vizgura, which is when a friendly ship at 1 to 5 would discard a fleet command upgrade. You may discard this card instead. That can be useful. That's actually really useful if you've got the 2 points and you're already running fleet upgrades on your Pravi or on another ship. That can be a good option for you. They also gave us sorry, I'm trying to get it up. I'm kind of doing everything on the fly here. They also gave us the Koklevex, which is you gain a offensive retrofit. I think that's offensive retrofit, which means this thing can take B2 rocket troopers, boosted comms, all that kind of fun stuff that a small ship that you want to have. I think it's a good option, honestly. For a close range brawler, I'd say it doesn't do its job. It might work as a close range support ship. The big thing is it is a cheap, fast ship, and that's something that the sorry, where was I? I got distracted. That fast ship that we need. Separatists have been notoriously slow. The only fast ship has been the hard sell. We've been stuck at speed 3 forever, and now we finally have our speed 4 flying around. I don't think it's a support ship. I don't want it to be a support ship, but it might wind up in that role. The other one is, of course, the Pinnacle class Corvette is the other ship they gave us. Oh, wait, we're still talking titles. Sorry, the last title they gave us is, of course, the Petranaki. When defending, if the attack is obstructed, you may choose for the attacker to not remove a die from the attack pool. If you do, after attack dice are rolled, you may choose and cancel 1 die in the attack pool. As a defensive option for 2 points, that's pretty good because this thing's going to be mostly obstructed anyway. Enemy ships. I believe it's a small ship, which means it's going to be it's going to be in the fray. And most of this ship is going to be in the fray. So choosing when to cancel that attack is really nice because now you're like, okay, roll your pool, and then I get to choose the best thing and cancel. Sorry. Honestly, I like that. I really like that. Yeah, sorry. And then, of course, they gave us the Pinnacle Corvette, which is, I didn't talk about the Corvette, which is another small class ship. This one is your kind of medium range fighter. It's going to be poking at the enemy. This is your ion ship. It's going to be, instead of black dice on the side, it's 2 blue and 1, instead of 2 blue and 1 black on the side, it's 3 blue on the side. So this thing's kind of going around broadside and kind of trying to do stuff with its ion cannons. This is your ion cannon ship. If you want to just load up on ion cannon ships, do you know how much fun that would be, where you can just get a bunch of ion cannon ships and just kind of like, yeah, let's just start poking and prodding at them until they're done. Let's grab ion batteries. Let's grab MS1 ion cannons, and that's cheap, so you can definitely get that kind of bunch of ships. This is a ship that I think the Separatists can use because Separatists have always, like, as Armada has been, Separatists has been about their big ships. Most fleets that I've seen is like Providence, Recusant, large ships. We finally have a small, fast ship that's cheap, so we can just take 2 or 3 of them and just use them in a nightmarish way. I think this is a good thing for us. The other upgrade that they gave us was for the Gazanti class cruiser. The Insatiable. When a squadron you activate uses AI battery, you suffer 1 damage. If you do, one of the dice can be of any color. I mean, it fits with the stuff that Separatists try to do because they're very squadron specific. So if you're building a squadron build with AI battery, this might be good for you. I'm not sure about it. Because it has to be something activated with the Gazanti. And so most of the time you don't want to use your Gazantis to activate your bombers because if you do that, you're losing the opportunity to activate other stuff, your fighters. So, good and bad, I guess. That's the thing. It's been okay. The big thing is we got new ships, everybody. And of course, we have a new admiral. We have Puggle the Lesser. After deploying fleets, friendly ships gain an engineering token. Friendly ships may be assigned 1 more command token than their command value. Okay, I can see that working well. I can see that working pretty well. After you or a friendly small non-flotilla ship is declared the target of an attack, you may discard 1 token to obstruct the attack. Honestly, it could be worse. It's 20 points, so it's another really cheap admiral, like Grievous. I think he fits really well with our Pinnacle class Corvette. If you're running a bunch of Pinnacle class Corvettes, these guys want an extra token. These guys want to be able to obstruct attacks. So honestly, I cannot complain about Poggle the Lesser. He's your I don't want to take General Grievous. I need another cheap Admiral Poggle the Lesser. And hey, everyone gets a engineering token, so you get to use that at the beginning of the game. Are there better admirals? Absolutely. Are there better admirals at 20 points? Maybe if you're running fighters. Yeah, honestly, Puggle the Lesser fills a unique role where he's kind of supporting, not too supporting. He's helping people obstruct attacks. Better for these smaller, I'm running a bunch of small ships builds, I think. Because if you run a bunch of small ships, then you get a bunch of engineering tokens, and you get a bunch of obstructed attacks. I definitely think he's got a place in the Separatist Alliance. On from the Separatists. They gave the Republic what it's needed. The Architan class cruiser. Now, I love the Architans for the Empire. They are so good. And giving them for these are phenomenal. And what they did for them. So the Architan class escort cruiser. It's got 2 turbo laser slots. 2, 2, and 3, like any Architan, 2 evades, 1 redirect, 1 salvo. Wow, I didn't do this for the other ships. I don't know why I didn't do it for the other ships. And then broadside guns. It's an Architan. It is an Architan. That's what it is. And this is something that they needed. They gave you the assault cruiser and they gave you the escort cruiser. Honestly, I can't wait to see these in battles because these Architans are going to change the game for the Republic because the Republic finally has options outside of their weak little consular cruisers and their Venator. They got good options outside of it now, and honestly, I can't wait to see what they do with them. Like, they did some good things before, but this is going to change things and be really nice going forward. Because we're like, oh yeah, Architans, we can finally just poke you at long range. They did something. They did the smart thing again, which I like that they did it, but at the same time, I'm like, I see why you did that. Let's talk about titles real quick. Because we all know what the Architans are, and we all know what their uses are. These things are great. The escort cruiser is just going to be used to poke at long range. The assault cruiser is just going to be used to get in there and attack and get out, or lifeboats. So first title we're going to talk about is, of course, wow, I am just jumping through screens instead of pulling up what I need to. Is the Stellar Rise. Princess Squadron value is 3. You cannot spend dials to resolve the effect. Does it even do anything? Sure, there are cards that refer to the squadron value. But realistically, if you're running a squad ball, you're probably not running Architan's the assault cruiser to command it, you're probably running the escort, which means it's only a 1 buff. Is it really doing anything? And then as far as commanders go, I don't think there's anything in here that um, really helps that. Other than my like an Admiral Yularen build where you're like, I get to take an extra like 2 fighters per. I'm just trying to figure out the use of this, and it's not the best one. There are better upgrades for these. The next upgrade is, of course, the Surrogator, which is spend that squadron to when you activate a squadron while a friendly squadron is attacking. If it has a distance 1 of a friendly squadron with the assault keyword, it can reroll 1 dice. So essentially, if you're supporting your, there's very few cards with assault on their keywords. So if you're supporting your LAAT is the big one. If you're supporting your LAAT, if you essentially this is encouraging you to take your LAAT into the fight because your LAAT has assault. And you get those free rerolls around it. So essentially, you want 1 LAAT, which honestly, I think the LAAT is a solid card overall. So keep an LAAT around Grit Heavy, and you're like, yeah, it now supports all the ships around it that I activate. And that's good. That's decent for like squadrons in the Republic, and I'm glad to see the Republic doing stuff with squadrons. I wanted the Separatists to be doing more with squadrons, but I'm seeing the Republic. I'm hoping that the Architects kind of change that. We get more fleet center builds for the Republic. And of course, the last upgrade we need to talk about is the Thunder Wasp. Now, here's why I think the Thunder Wasp is the best one. When you would add a die from a dial to the attack pool, that die may be of any color, which means this lets you throw blacks at long range. This lets you throw black at long range on either ship, on the assault cruiser or the escort cruiser. I think on the escort cruiser, it's better. And here's why. On the escort cruiser, it's definitely better because what you can do, because it's got 2 turbo laser slots, is you can take your XI7s and stuff, but you can also take swivel mounts. And if you take swivel mounts, that means your side gun with that now can throw 2 at long range, 3 red and a black. That's not bad. Honestly, I think Thunder Wasp is going to be niche. It's going to be niche, but it's going to be used. The thing is, these are all really cheap upgrades, and that's what matters. I'm glad we're getting new ships. I can't wait to play these more and be like, I can give some list recommendations. I'm going to be giving some list recommendations. I'm glad you guys can join us. I'm glad to be looking at Armada more. I mean, honestly, that's all. Oh, there is one other thing we've got to cover. There is the Arleon for a couple other things. The Arleon for the victory. Critical, you may exhaust this card if the defender suffers 1 damage. This occurs for once for each of your exhausted defense tokens. This is something trying to exhaust its defense tokens. So you're trying to find every which way to exhaust your defense tokens. And I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that because that is a double-edged sword. I would love to have ways to mess with our defense tokens, to be like, I will just exhaust my defense tokens. When defending after the declares attack, you're just trying to spend all of your defense tokens. I mean, not defense tokens. Yeah, defense tokens. Get them spent so that you can go on the attack with the Arleon. Because here's the thing about this thing. It can be done on a salvo, which means it can counterattack. Which means you're like, okay, I will exhaust all of my defense tokens on the attack at the end of the round. I will throw, and then I will land a critical. I'll try to land a critical, and if I land that critical, I will be taking you with me. Because it's like, that is some strong stuff. That is a strong card for this, and I think it's great because it gives an additional use to the victory. I'm glad it can't happen on an ignition attack. That matters. I think 7 points is fair for this kind of ability because this is critical, suffer 3 damage. Yeah, suffer 1 to 3 damage. Or 4? No. Suffered, yeah, 3 damage. Or 4? I need rules. Judge, I need rules on this. Is it 1 plus each defense token, or is it 1 defense? So if you haven't used any, well, it's automatically 1 from your defense. So I would assume 1. I would assume 1. If you can get other defense tokens on this ship, it would matter more. But I'm like, it's. I'm pretty sure it's how I'm assuming, where it's 1, and then because you're gonna spend it on the salvo, so it's like 1 and then and I don't know how the rules work on that. That's a question for a judge. We'll get a judge in here to talk about it. Um, and of course, they gave us a new admiral, Admiral Coburn, uh, who is when a friendly ship at distance 1 to 2 of an enemy ship or obstacle is executing maneuver before the determined course step, it may change each of its blank yaws to 1 yaws until the end of turn. Holy cow, the Architin is so maneuverable now. Oh, the Architin has so much maneuverability now. That I think that's the perfect, like, 25-point admiral for, like, the new Architins that come out, because, like, yeah, all of our Architin speed 3 Architins can practically turn on a dime. Get ready. I like this guy. It's very simple. I like the execution because it's like, yeah, distance 1 to 2 of an enemy ship, or 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 an obstacle. So you just stay close to the obstacles and you just ride around. Dude, I'm really excited for these changes. These ships are really nice, and there's so much to it. I thank you guys for sticking around, and everybody that sticks around this long. I'm gonna have a link to our Discord in. We've been live streaming. We've been on TikTok. You can catch us there. We've been doing less wargaming stuff, more stuff online, and so we'd like to invite you over to our TikTok when we're live streaming Monster Hunter or and Twitch. Sorry, when we're streaming Monster Hunter or Helldivers. I'd like to do more Armada stuff in the future. So if you want to come support us over at those areas, that would be great. Or you can just come stick around on YouTube. The best way to grow these, of course, is to share with your friends. Hit that share, send it over, hit that like, hit that comment. Tell us about these ships. What did I get wrong? What did I get right? What do you want to like to see? And we will be able to see you next time. I'm going to be coming back to the podcast and hopefully doing it at least once a week. May not be Armada the whole time, but we will be trying. I don't know about once a week. Podcasts are a lot, especially with the streaming schedule. And with Game Master's Arsenal, we're going to be working on bringing that back. And we will catch you guys next time. I've been your host, Isaiah. And of course, potatoes are a compromise, not a food. Fight me.